So, what's the secret of good writing? Well, if there was a magical formula, we would all be accomplished authors, wouldn't we? There's probably a lot of different secrets, and part of it depends upon your personality, part of it depends upon the genre. I write Greek textbooks, and so clarity is really important to me. But I'm also working on some lay level books, and passion and empathy become important. I mean, there's a lot of different secrets, I would guess, to writing. But I think one of the key secrets is clarity. You don't want your reader to have to figure out what you're saying. Now, maybe your reader needs to reflect on what you mean, but the reader shouldn't have to figure out what you're saying. And the answer for that is, and everyone agrees on this, is you got to pick the right words. Absolutely critical to pick the right words, because English wants specificity. It wants precision. So, for example, you come along and you're gonna say something that it's right. Well, what do you mean by right? Is it a right turn, or is it right in terms of correct? Well, if it's right in terms of correct, then say correct. And clarity in writing involves many of these kinds of little decisions. I don't know of anyone that's a naturally good writer. Everyone I know that writes well, works hard to write well. I've heard stories about Ernest Hemingway, who's generally acknowledged as one of the greatest English writers that we've ever had. I've heard stories of him agonizing over every word choice. The best writer I know of in biblical studies is George Eldon Ladd. I had him as a teacher. His book, A Theology of the New Testament, was, I think, the most important book I've ever read. But it is clear, it is precise, it is pristine writing, and we asked him about it. So we just assumed in our naivete that he was just naturally a good writer and could sit down and write. Well, I think he was a good writer, but he was a good writer because he worked so hard at it. And he told stories about how he agonized over every single word over and over again, rewrote and rewrote until he had picked just the right words and just the right grammatical constructions so that he could convey what he wanted to say. So for a lot of people, one of the secrets of writing well is to write with clarity. And that means work really hard to pick exactly the right word. If somebody just sits down and writes off a blog, it may be okay, but it's not nearly as good as they could write if they really took the time. So one of the secrets of writing certainly is clarity. That requires hard work because you have to pick just the right words.